Good day, everyone. And I'm thrilled to be here to talk to you about the ASCENT 232. Good day. I am pleased to be able to present the ASCENT T32 program translating research. This is an overview. I'd like to welcome you all. And in the next 15 minutes, I will cover the content that this section and section will address. Now, the clinical research, the ASCENT clinical research module really will show let's scrap that beginning. We're going to start again. Good day. I'm Ray Panettiri, Program Director of the New Jersey Alliance for Clinical and Translational Science, and I am pleased to be able to provide an overview of the program Translating Research. Now, this module is composed of several components. The overview, which I'm giving you, will then have a clinical trials logistics and decentralized clinical research program provided by Nancy Riley, human services research by Olga Jarin Montagnier, a patient-oriented research by Shauna Hudson, clinical cohort building by Dan Horton, and early phase clinical research, pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetics by Luigi Bernetti. Now, the learning objectives for this overview are really quite simple. We're going to recognize the value of translating innovations and discoveries. We're going to differentiate translational science and research, describe how the CTSA Hub can enable your research and improve your own career development. So let's start with recognizing the value of translating my innovations and discovery. When we think about translational research, and we're going to differentiate this from translational science in a moment, it's a continuum that goes from T0 through T4. Now, that jargon is aligned with actually clinical drug development. For example, T0 is basic science. That's the capability of discovery. We move to T1 when we translate that basic science into humans, typically phase 1 safety studies in the parlance of drug discovery. We translate to patients in T2, and in T3, we translate into practice. The T2, T3 is the traditional drug discovery, phase 2, 3, and on to phase 4. And then T4 is pardon me, T4 is really the translation to community, population-based outcomes, and proof of acceptance. Now, for the most part, we try to take these discoveries and make them academic assets that can be commercialized into new drugs, devices, diagnostics, and software. Now, the focus of our CTSA hub, and I'll talk about that in a moment, is really T3 and T4 science. So let's differentiate translational science and research. Now, I know Professor Scotto has covered this previously, but it's always good to come back around and understand what we're talking about. And translational science is the study of process. Translational research is typically hypothesis testing, whereas translational research often focuses on a specific disease or target. Translational science is more focused on what is the approach to translate discovery into practice. On the right side, these badges really talk about sort of the translational principles that NCATS, that is the National Center for Advancing Translational Science and Research, has addressed. Now, in our conceptual model, we talk about linked databases, and that could be the electronic health record, OMIC, CMS, or Medicare. And we try to leverage these into discovery. And at each level here, into practice and policy, we are focused on the dissemination and implementation of our discoveries across the broader ecosystem, both nationally and internationally. Now, the yellow describes processes. So these processes are primed to be the platforms for translational science, whereas translational research could actually address hypotheses as shown in the red. Now, our theme for our hub focuses on the heterogeneity of disease and response to therapy. Now, bear with me. Heterogeneity in disease occurs in every disease. Think of asthma, CHF, diabetes. That's not a unique entity. Even the case definitions are often a little wonky. But if we have a new diagnostic test and we can identify a subpopulation, we could actually narrow a therapeutic approach to guarantee a therapeutic response. Now, if we have a new targeted treatment, we recognize that every drug is actually, when given to a patient, induces a heterogeneous response to therapy. For example, prednisone. If I give many of you prednisone, some will develop cushingoid symptoms, whereas others don't. So there's a heterogeneity of response to therapy and a heterogeneity in the disease entity itself. Our focus of our hub focuses on both aspects of these disease, but there's more. What if that new targeted treatment with that new tool that you've developed gets into clinical research? Well, for it to be disseminated and implemented, it requires an adaptation by payers to pay for it, for patients to utilize the tool, and for healthcare providers to prescribe it. So it's amazing that anything actually comes to the marketplace. It's very complicated. Now, we use guiding principles in the implementation of our translational science and research to heterogeneity of disease and response to therapy. We practice show. And what is show? It's streamline our approaches so that we could actually bring things to market quickly. We harmonize using a variety of complex platforms and tools to orchestrate the new approach. At the end of the day, we wonder how we can improve the process and improve therapeutic responses to patients in a heterogeneous group. Now, who are these translational scientists? Well, they come in a variety of flavors. There's fundamental basic research, and as I understand it, many of the T32 scholars are working at the bench, so that would be considered wet lab research. But in the dry lab research, these are translational scientists also. There could be trialists, those devoted to developing novel approaches to test a hypothesis, or epidemiologists who then look into populations. There's translational biology that takes models, either rodent, cellular, or tissue models, and go wet to dry. What that means is they actually start with a wet lab approach, but then implement that into dry lab science. Where do translational science work? Well, the scientists work in a variety of domains. They can be academic, much like myself and my colleagues, but there's federal scientists, there's federal scientific translational science administrators, there's industry, and even in the federal component, there's government. The government, for example, would be somebody in the health offices regionally or statewide. So Given all of these processes, NCATS came up with a Clinical Translational Science Award that fosters a hub that enables research. Very important. So how would you do that? Consider it. Let's say you have all these people out there working together. How do you unite this herd of cats to move in one direction to harmonize, orchestrate, and streamline the approach that could be generalized across many, many different states, regions, and cities? Well, that's what the CTSA does. It has 5 essential goals. It trains and cultivates translational science workforce. That includes you all. And we'll come back to where you are in that continuum. It engages patients and communities. We want your science to translate. That means we engage communities. We integrate special and underserved populations in clinical translational science, so-called CTS, across the lifespan. We increase the quality and efficiency of the research to foster multi-site trials, and we advance the use of cutting-edge informatics. I mean, informatics is really the cornerstone in building effective translational research in science. And again, to reiterate, you saw this in the other cartoon I showed, going from basic research, that's T0, right on through to translation to the community, which is T4. Now, the CTSA program is NIH's largest infrastructure and training award. So the fact that you have a T32 in NJX, the single and only CTSA hub in New Jersey, is quite admirable. Now, NJX touches all components of our 4 alliance members. Rutgers is the home institution, and virtually every aspect of Rutgers, its research institutes and its biomedical schools are involved. But in addition to that, we have the Barnabas Health System, an alliance partner that incorporates the 5 million patients in our alliance health system across 13 hospitals. We have a robust community partners group, which you're going to hear from Shauna Hudson. And our other academic centers is NJIT and Princeton. And within each of those institutions, multiple departments are interacting within this platform. We, that is the Rutgers Institute for Translational Medicine and Science, for which I'm director, actually administers this program. Now, it's a complicated program. It touches about 180 to 190 investigators all throughout New Jersey. I'm the director. We have deputy directors at our Alliance academic partners in NJIT and Princeton. My associate director, Shauna Hudson, an accomplished D&I scientist, will be presenting within this module, and Joe Yeager is our health system liaison. Now, the way this program works, it's been built out of elements and modules. I'm not going to go into great detail, but to give you an idea and a flavor that the element B really addresses the governance. It's how we get things accomplished across this matrix organization. Element C is workforce development. Now, within module C1, the workforce development, we have an incredibly robust grant education and training program that has demonstrated incredible success over the last 7 years. Our community and stakeholder engagement platform allows you as an investigator to be in touch with the community, to be able to take questions to the community and to communicate in a bi-directional manner so that the community can discuss their fears, concerns, and wishes with you as an investigator. Really cool program that allows you to get a sense is whether your science is in touch with the needs of the community. We have 212 community-based organizations and a very small group of about 18 that are really tightly knit that could address your issues in the community. Element D has many platforms, and I'm going to touch on some of those in a minute. Element E is a granting organization within NJX that provides pilot funding, as well as other pilots are found in Element D that allows your science to get some seed money to move forward. All of these work in unison to harmonize and orchestrate translational science as a platform. We are successful by augmenting your science. That's the takeaway. NIH has profoundly supported the ability to help other investigators within our ecosystem to be more successful. Our grant has now been renewed for 7 years. And that's exciting because this platform will be available throughout your career development. Now, in these modules, we have very specific areas of expertise. We talked about workforce and community. We have a group who do team science investigation, giving you guardrails to understand what team science is. We have a biostatistics, epidemiology, and research design capability where you can get free consults with a biostatistician regarding your science. You know, the wet lab science is a little easier to perform statistical analysis in comparison to complex studies in epidemiology. But needless to say, you still need statistical support. We have a unique group that focuses on special populations, the inmate population, for example, the very old. We have a variety of interesting cohorts that we build. The Great Core is for genetic related education and training. If you want to use state-of-the-art epigenetics, you can reach our core. The Clinical Trial Office uniquely facilitates clinical trials, not only within each of our biomedical schools, but across our health system. As I mentioned, we have a pilots program, and the health informatics group allows you access to our electronic health record. We have a number of working groups that interact with these modules to be able to get consultations to improve their facilities. Who are the users? It's yourself, trainees, students, faculty, and staff. Now, in our training programs, we have 4 domains. We have a K-12 that provides 2 years of funding for early stage investigators, supporting 50 to 75% of their effort. You have successfully competed for a pre-doctoral T32 program, the ASCENT program. That program will allow you to develop your graduate training and move you along in your career development. We are currently have a T32 program, the portal program, that is hopefully going to be supported in the near future. This will allow another 2 years of postdoctoral training. And our R25 program is interesting because it allows medical students and PharmD students a tastings of translational research and science in their summer of their first year, allowing them at least some exposure to translational science. So are we and were we successful? Well, the use case was in the pandemic. We had initially were funded to build out this complex program at a time when we were experiencing a pandemic. And what we were able to do is mobilize each and every one of these cores to nimbly pivot our science to develop 2 very large cohorts, a healthcare worker cohort that allowed us to characterize COVID infections, susceptibility, and therapies, as well as an NJ Heroes 2 cohort in the community that fostered the ability to test in a translational science approach, the study of process, as to whether ambassadors in the community were more effective at getting community members tested for COVID versus reaching out to community-based organizations. That's translational science. There, we were able to demonstrate that engaging the community-based organizations was a much more effective way to enhance COVID testing. So, bottom line, we are here to serve you. We are here, funded by NIH, to build platforms that make you a more effective and successful translational scientist. It provides pilot grant funding, availability of tools, state-of-the-art tools in informatics, in genetics, and so forth. It allows you to engage participant populations in the community and special, unique populations. We train students, staff, faculty. The badge program, micro-credentialing, grew out of NJX. This is for junior faculty and career development awards. We foster student and postdoctoral training grant slots. We improve your access to hospital systems to promote your research. And there is office there within NCATS and exclusive to CTSA members, we get funding opportunity announcements or FOAs. Very exciting because these come out, we pass them out to you all so you can compete in a narrow competition across the CTSA hubs. So how many CTSA hubs are there? There are currently 60 across the United States. NJX is the only NJ hub in New Jersey, and it's statewide. We have funding and support until our next competing continuation. In 6 years now, it's a 7-year award, and it funds approximately $52 million for the infrastructure over those 7 years. It is the largest and most successful NIH platform for translational research. Now, I ask you to engage in an assignment. Those readings are shown here. They're very short readings, but they'll give you a flavor for what the difference is between translational research and translational science, and why are these discriminated and differentiated, and how has these platforms impacted on discovery and commercialization of academic assets. After that, we ask you to take those readings and to generate a reflective essay. We don't want this to be irksome or difficult, but it allows you to crystallize your understanding of clinical research, translational research and science, and what a platform at NIH like the CTSA Hub and Consortium can do to promote your research. We also want you to comment on artificial intelligence and how that may be utilized in this unique platform. So I want to thank you. It was a pleasure to kick off this module. I think you're going to really enjoy it. This should allow you to understand the intricacies of what we do, how we do it, and how we could be helpful in your career development. I wish you all the best of luck, and please reach out to me. You can find my email easily, and I am happy to answer any and all of your questions regarding career development, the CTSA program, NJX. Thank you all.